Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And today I'm going to walk you through an exercise that I like to do with all of my clients to find out where we can have the biggest and the quickest impact on their branding. So stay tuned, but first, let's roll this intro. Alright, welcome back to the video. Like I said in the intro, today we're walking through an exercise that will help you gauge where your brand is and just kind of give you a mental picture of where you can make the most impact on your brand. But before we jump into this exercise, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because I would love to have you along for the journey as I continue to teach about creativity and branding. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's get started walking through this exercise to judge and gauge your brand identity. Today we're going to do this exercise in a little bit more of a condensed fashion than what I usually do, but we're going to do it with a kind of like mock company, a fake company. That way you can get an idea of exactly how this exercise works and how you can follow along with your own brand. Okay, the company we have today for this brand exercise is Da Fake Coffee Company. And don't worry, they are 100% legit local coffee. But we're going to use them as a little bit of a example as we walk through this exercise so that you can kind of get a feel for it. Now, this is a fake brand, obviously, and I'm just making up these points as I go along. But for you, if you do have a brand, I would highly encourage you to get out a piece of paper, follow along with this exercise, and I think you're going to find that there's some really useful insights into how you can brand and brand more effectively that'll come straight from this exercise. Just so you understand how this exercise works, it's a series of questions that you're going to be answering. And in this case, I'm going to be answering these questions as this fake coffee company. Now, I love local coffee, I love working at coffee shops, so I thought this would be a really fun one to just kind of experiment with and pretend that I have this local coffee company. And what would that look like? So the first question that needs to be answered about your brand is, what are my first points of contact with a customer? This means where are the first places that a customer might interact with your brand? I want you to go ahead and take a minute. I want you to write down the top places where your customers are going to interact with your brand for the very first time. If you're an all digital company, that might be your website or your social media. If you're a product and you sit on store shelves, maybe that's your packaging. Where are they going to see your brand for the very first time? Now, in the case of Da Fake Coffee Company, we've got a few things that we've identified that could be first-time interactions for customers. One, we've got our storefront. We get a lot of drive-by traffic, so the first time people see our brand and interact with it might be the outside of our store. Next, we've got our packaging. Maybe we sell our beans at local grocery stores, and so our beans are sitting on the shelf with all the other coffee beans, and the packaging is the first thing that customers see. We've got our website on there. And then notice with social media, you can actually break down social media into different elements. So maybe that's your Facebook page, or maybe it's like Instagram posts if you get a lot of engagement on your posts. Or maybe it's an Instagram story or Instagram reel. Those are the new things. So wherever customers are engaging for the first time, that's what we want to write down on this list. Okay, do you have your list down? I hope you do. If not, you can pause the video, get it down, and we're going to keep going on to our second question in the exercise. The second question in the exercise is, what are my top 2 interaction points? What this means is, when you look at all of those points that could be first-time interactions, what are the top 2? Where do your customers come from the most, or what lead sources are generating the most revenue for you? In the case of my coffee company here, we're gonna say that our storefront and our packaging are the primary 2 interactions that we have with first-time customers. So we sell a lot of coffee at local grocery stores, so we have a lot of customers that interact with our coffee company for the first time when they buy those beans right off the shelf. We also have a busy street with a lot of foot traffic, so we're going to say the next time that people have first-time interactions with our brand is when they either drive by or they walk by and they see our shop, and then they go and look at our social media or our website after that. So those are the main 2 interaction points that we've identified as first-time interactions customers have with our brand. Now, the reason that we look at the top 2 first-time interactions is because if you remember from my Secret to Great Branding video, which I will link right up there, so you can go check that out. If you remember, I talk about the fact that brands are about taking first-time customers or introductory customers through to relationally invested customers. So we have to try to get as many people to buy in on that first interaction as we can. So we're gonna look at how we can improve the first interactions that we have with customers. That leads us to our third question. And our third question is, what am I doing at these first-time interaction points? It doesn't do you any good if you can identify where your first-time interaction points are, but you can't identify what you're doing. So go ahead and take a minute, write down everything that you can think of that you're doing at those interaction points. For example, with our coffee company here, we've broken it down to storefront and packaging. At our storefront, we start to think about everything that we do on our front facade that interacts with a customer. So we have outdoor seating. We have a sign over the door. We have exposed brick on the outside of our building. We also have some black painted siding on our building. And then we have a doormat that we like to put out for customers to, wipe their feet before they come into our coffee shop. So with our packaging, as we sit on the store shelf, what about our packaging interacts with a customer? Well, we have a black bag. We have a textured bag. We have one size that we offer. We have a white label, which we put on the bag and we print in-house. Also, we have our logo on the back. Start thinking about these things. Where is your logo placed? How often? If it's social media, how often do you post on your stories? What kind of content do you post on your stories? What kind of content do you post on your feed? Are you always promoting a product? Are you featuring people? Are you featuring employees? Are you featuring causes? What is the content that you're putting out there? Write down everything you can think about, all the details that you can possibly think about with these first two interaction points. Now I'm keeping this list pretty short because I don't want to dive into all the weeds of, all the possibilities, and I don't have a business like this, it's fake, so I can't really say for certain what all there is. But for you, start thinking about, take your time here and really list out everything you can think of. The next question that we want to ask ourselves is, what is my competitor doing at these same interaction points? Now, on the note of competitors, it is important to understand that their first-time interaction points might not necessarily be the same as your first-time interaction points. However, if they are a direct competitor, you are competing with them on your first-time interaction point. So that means you need to be better than them. And if you're a local coffee shop like I am here, your competitor isn't the Starbucks that's a block away. Your competitor will be other local coffee shops. It's important that when you identify competitors, you understand that they have to be at the same playing field, the same level that you are. And I guarantee none of you are out there at the same level that Starbucks is. So they're not your competitor. Just forget about it. In my example here, we've identified The Real Coffee Co. as the competitor. And I would say, if you're doing this on your own, try to find 3 competitors and then analyze each of them. The more competitors you can analyze, the better picture you're going to get of an overall market space and what you can do to improve and beat your competition. For this example, I'm only going to do it with one competitor just to try to keep it short and sweet so we can get on with our lives. So here's The Real Coffee Company, and we've analyzed them. They have at their storefront outdoor seating, a street sign. They have green painted exterior opposed to our black and exposed brick. They've got large windows, potted plants, a doormat, and window decals. Now when you're doing this, identify all of the details you can, just like what you did with your analysis. But for the sake of time, we're gonna strip this down and only do these few. And then in the packaging, again, we've got a black bag. They have a polka dot pattern on their bag. They have a colored pattern. They've got 2 sizes that they offer, and they put their logo on the front. Now here's the cool thing. Once you've got a list of all of the things that your competitors do at these first points of interaction, and a list of what you do at these first points of interaction, you're gonna start to see similarities and differences emerge. So this is where it gets really cool, and you can really start to pull some insights. In the next step, we're gonna say, where am I the same and where am I different? Where am I better and where am I worse? Now there's a couple ways you can do this, but the way that I like to do it is for each one of those customer interaction points that you've identified, of the 2, you make a separate square 4-quadrant grid graph. Now as you can see here, we've got our 4-quadrant graph, and we've got better and worse and same and different. All you do is you just plot points on that graph based on the data that you've collected from yourself and your competitors. Now in this graph here, we're working on The Real Coffee Company versus The Fake Coffee Company on storefront. With the storefront, we've identified some things that we do, we've identified some things that they do, so now we just start plotting points. For example, we have a doormat. Both of us have a doormat, and so that's basically the same. So it's all the way on the same side. But our doormat is new, it's got a cute phrase on it, it's much better. Theirs is like just boring and black and rubber. So our doormat is much better than their doormat, so that goes all the way up to the better column. Next we have our windows, and they've got large windows, but we've also got large windows, so they're basically the same, pretty much comparable. Theirs are a little different, but ours are a little bit better. So we're gonna put this one kind of in the middle of same, and we're just a hair better than they are. Next, you can see that we've got outdoor seating. Both of us have outdoor seating. That's very similar. Our outdoor seating is comparable. Now, if your outdoor seating were significantly different than theirs, you would move that closer to the different side. But ours, in this case, is basically the same. We got about the same number of tables, about the same style, but our outdoor seating is significantly worse than theirs. It's worse quality, doesn't look as nice. Maybe theirs is glass top with black chairs, and ours is just like whatever yard furniture we could find. We've identified their outdoor furniture as being better than ours, so we are worse in that category. We put that in the bottom box there. On the other side of the graph, we got some things that are different. For example, our signage. Ours is above the door, they have a street sign. So we've got a little bit different signage. They're comparable, but they're not in the same place. So we put that on the different side of the line. And then ours is actually worse than theirs. They have more exposure. Their sign looks nicer. It's more engaging. It's more appealing. It has a better logo. Whatever it is, their sign is better than our sign. So that goes below the better line. Next, we have the window decals. This is an interesting one because this explains how to think about things. It's important to analyze. Just because somebody has something doesn't necessarily make it better. For example, we identified that they have window decals. We do not have window decals. So that's very different. We're on different ends of the field there. However, their window decals might be really nasty and ugly and peeling off. And if that's the case, the fact that we don't have window decals makes us better. So analyze it as if it's compared to you. For example, if they had outdoor seating and we didn't have outdoor seating, but we were in front of a trash dump, we wouldn't want to put outdoor seating because that would be not very aesthetic and it would smell nasty. So always analyze things on the case of, is it better for me being same or different? So here we're different than them, but that's okay because we're better than them because we have no nasty decals on our windows. Next, they've got plants. We don't have plants. Now, would we be improved if we had plants? Yeah, we would be improved if we had plants because that would help our outdoor seating area. So we are much worse in that case because our plants are dead or we don't have any plants and they have nice green luscious plants. And lastly, on the exterior, we have exposed brick and black siding, which looks great, and they have green painted siding. It's different, but ours is much better. So we've got that at the top there in the different but better category. Now, what does this graph actually show for you? What does it do for you? Well, it helps you identify where you can make a quick impact to improve your first-time interactions with your customers. Your ideal position for all of your stuff would be above the better line. So if you have something that's different but better, that's a great place to be. We like being different and better. It makes us unique and we're better than the competition, so kudos to us. We don't want to touch that. If we have something that's the same but we're better, we think about, is there a way we could make this more unique, more about our brand, about us, and make it, still keep it as being better than whatever the competition is doing? If not, for example, if we have the best doormat we can and they're copying us and they have a doormat, that's fine as long as we're better than them. We always want to be better than the competition in these areas. Now, where we start to get into problems is when we get on the worst side of things. If we're the same as our competition, but we're worse, we need to spend some money to fix that because we always want to be at least at that middle line. We want to be as good, if not better, in everything we do, right? Now, of course, that's not always doable. For example, there's things like location, which just could never be fixed. However, while it's not always possible, whenever we do have the opportunity to increase from same but worse to same but better and in a cost-effective way, I highly recommend doing it, as it'll make a really big impact on your brand. And lastly, the worst place we can be is different but worse. If we're doing something different than our competition, but we're doing it worse or we're worse off because of it, we never want to do that. The quickest fix is to do exactly what your competition is doing. and try to do it at least as good, if not better, obviously. In this case, it would be great if we could move a sign from over our door to the road, or if we could add a sign to the road. Also, we need to get some outdoor plants. We would be better off because of it, and all of our competition does it, so therefore we should do it. It's a cost-effective solution that can increase the appeal to our customer on that first-time interaction. Where a brand strategist can really help you is in identifying different and unique ways that you can become better than your competition in these key areas. They'll help you move customers from just being a first-time interactor to wanting to learn more and wanting to become more invested in your brand. Maybe if they see the sign on the road, they're more likely to go to your website or social media, and then they're more likely to convert to a customer. Whatever it is for you, go ahead and take some time to invest in this exercise. You'll find that you'll pull a lot of insights and you'll get a lot of good ideas on how you can quickly move from being worse in some areas to being as good or better, and then you'll see where your advantages and disadvantages lie in those first-time interaction points. We're not going to do the packaging. If you want to, I highly recommend go ahead and try it on your own. You can go back to those slides, write down your stuff, and build your grid. But maybe it would be adding the logo to the front of the packaging, or adding a pattern or some sort of design element that makes your package stand out on the shelf. Whatever it is, go ahead and analyze that for your brand, find those customer interaction points, and then you'll see that your interaction with your customers is going to grow by leaps and bounds. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something and that this was helpful to you, or that you can use it in the next client that you work with or the brand that you manage. If you enjoyed the video, please drop me a like and a comment, subscribe to this channel, and I'm going to see you in the next video.